said it was a medical episode, but no one checked on him all night. By morning, he was dead. No cameras, no coverage, no justice. His name was Hector R. Charles, and his story was never told until now. Hector R. Charles was booked into the Bexar County Jail on February 24th, 2021. Less than 24 hours later, his sister got a call. He didn't make it. The family was told it was a medical episode, but no one, not a single officer, checked on him through the night, allegedly. By the time someone finally opened that cell in the morning, Hector was gone. His sister says she believes Hector swallowed drugs, but Christina says that doesn't add up.
We never got a clear answer. My sister, the family just assumes that this black truck sold my brother drugs, and then while he was being incarcerated, that he swallowed drugs, and that's how he passed away, which my sister and I have a different opinion, because when they arrest you, they pat you down. They check whether or not you have anything in your pockets. I can't see how my brother would have put something in his mouth and the police not see it, notice it.
She believes it wasn't an overdose. It was neglect. In her words,
yes, that it was a medical episode. Mind you, nobody checked on him at night, so they don't know exactly when he passed away. They went and they checked on him in the morning. He was already dead. They called 911. The ambulance showed up. They tried to do resuscitation, but of course, he had already passed. There was nothing that could be done at that moment.
No medical intake, no assessment, just another inmate written off in silence. And while her family accepted the story, deep down, she couldn't. Because she knows what goes on behind those walls. The exhaustion, the mandatory overtime, the deputies barely staying awake.
And it's not even on the correctional guards. It's not their fault. They're doing what they're told. They are working, an obscene amount of hours, and they're doing anything they can to preserve themselves, to continue to work these obscene amount of hours. How can someone function at their highest level when they can't rest? I've had friends that are Bexar County sheriffs that worked in the jail that had to do these mandatory overtimes, and you see what toll it takes on their physical and their mental health.
Deputies working 18-hour shifts, cadets thrown in with barely 2 weeks of training, lives, both inmate and officer, crumbling under a broken system. Since Sheriff Salazar took office, there have been nearly 100 deaths tied to this jail. Yet families like Hector's never even make the news.
It was swept under the rug. No one knew except us. But he was known to the jail. It's not like the Bexar County Jail didn't know who my brother was. Like, he didn't have a record. They didn't know that he was a heroin. They knew. My question has always been, why didn't they send him to medical? Why didn't they start off with medical to do an assessment on him, to get him a methadone or to give him something while he was in jail, knowing that he was a heroin addict? They didn't do any kind of assessment. They threw him in jail just like he was a fucking dog, and that was it. It's frustrating because he was treated less than human, and he didn't deserve that. And I totally agree with what you're saying. It's costing human lives. And no one cares. No one cares because they're in jail. Because according to them, they're criminals. But they haven't even gone through the system to say whether or not they're guilty or not. And they're still treated like criminals, and they haven't even gone through the system. They haven't gone through court. They haven't been said they were guilty but just because they're in there, they're criminals. And it's just not right.
What happened to Hector isn't an isolated case. It's part of a pattern, a system stretched thin, where deputies are working 18-hour shifts plus, and cadets are thrown into pods with only 2 weeks of training. Exhaustion doesn't just kill morale, it kills people. Since Sheriff Salazar took office, nearly 100 inmates have died under his watch, some from medical neglect, some from suicide, some from unexplained causes. Yet families like Hector's, they rarely even make the news.
He's all about a show. Javier Salazar is all about a show. He just wants to put up a good show. But he doesn't really care. He doesn't care about the people. He just wants to be the sheriff because it's a status thing. It's not a people thing. It's a status thing, you know? And he's not doing what's right. He's not doing what's right. And a lot of more people need to really pay attention to what's going on in the jails and what's going on with the lack of support, the lack of guidance, the lack of training that is going on with these Bexar County sheriffs, because they're being pushed into a field that is dealing with people, different kinds of people, different walks of life of people, and they don't do anything about it. And it doesn't matter how many people die. They don't care. They don't care. Why? Because they're labeled as criminals. Well, they're people and they have families that love them. They're not just throwaway people. And that's the frustrating part. They treat them like just throwaway objects. Oh, well, he's a criminal. Oh, well, let's not care.
The jail isn't supposed to be a sentence, but for too many, it is. There's supposed to be oversight, cameras, check-ins, medical assessments. So why do so many of these records mysteriously go missing? Why do families keep getting the same line, medical episode, like it's a script? Hector wasn't perfect. None of us are. But he was a father, a brother, a son.
My brother was arrested at about noon. And there was no checks. There was no checks for him overnight. And that's what I was telling my sister. I said, you're supposed to be checking on him at night. She goes, even at night? I said, yes, even at night. They're supposed to be making rounds at night. And they didn't do that. For them to have not found him until I think they found him at around 8 o'clock in the morning, and we got the call around 10 after the paramedics and everybody had left. They didn't call us right away. They did what they needed to do, and then they called us. So we didn't know until about 10:30, and they had found him around 8 o'clock in the morning. And so they hadn't checked on him. And that's what I told my sister. Even if he would have swallowed whatever, right? If they would have checked on him, they would have seen that he wasn't waking up, that he wasn't moving, that he wasn't, responding. They could have caught it earlier, but they didn't. It's frustrating, and I just wish more people would pay attention. I mean, we didn't pay attention to it until it happened to us. And you don't pay attention to it until it happens to you. And then you start raising an eyebrow going, hey, that doesn't sound right. That story doesn't sound right. And you start noticing how many people actually have passed away, in the jail. And that's just what we know of on the news. There's cases that you don't even know of, like my brother.
Yeah.
How many actually have died and you don't know? I mean, these are just the families that go to the news to say, hey, this is what happened to my loved one. But there's people like us that don't do that. And you don't ever know how many people actually have passed away. Like, what are they hiding? How many have they put under, pushed under the rug? We don't know.
And now, all that's left is silence. And here's what people don't realize. This could happen to anyone. You have one bad night, one wrong turn, one glass of wine too many. You get booked in and you might not make it out alive. We talk about law and order, but what about order inside the law? What about the people who swore an oath to protect life and still look away? Hector's death didn't just happen. It was allowed to happen. Silence is how this keeps happening. And the moment we stop talking about it, another Hector behind those walls. So I'm telling his story, not because it's easy, but because it's right. And because families like Christina's deserve more than a one-line cause of death. They deserve the truth. They deserve change. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button, like button, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of a new video as soon as it's posted. If you want to support the channel in a monetary way, check the link in the description to my Jotform website. There, you will find the latest episode of Angeliz Unmuted, and you can submit a story you think needs coverage ASAP. Your story may be featured on Angeliz Unmuted, the podcast, or on another episode of Angeliz Unmuted, the Unmuted Files. Thank you for your support. See you next time.